Hey 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 Thank you, Ishi. Thank you, Ishi. Thank you, Ishi. Thank you, Ishi. Shalom. It's a little story about myself, real quick here, man. How I got to studying this word and this truth, and something about myself. I tend to study when my back's against the wall. I tend to do things when my back's against the wall. I always turned in my homework late. I always started on it the night before it was due. I think they call that a procrastinator. I don't know. I don't know what the Most High calls that. But what I know is that so far on this walk anyway, I don't know if things will always be this way. I hope that they won't. When I get comfortable, I don't study as much. And, that's a problem for me. I've come to love to study, and I just hate it when I don't. And, that could mean a lot of things about me. That could be because of my bloodline. That could be because of my bloodline. That me on my own, I don't have the love of the word and the love of study in me, that I need to be inspired. And, I have been inspired over the years by different Israelite teachers. I say that, I started watching these videos a couple years ago and started hearing about truth from a few different teachers that, they're not worth mentioning, man. But I'll say this: I started my and they never inspired me either. Let me say that. But my inspiration came and began first with a teacher, a YouTuber that I watched a few years ago, called Rap the News. And Rap the News used to say two things that really resonated with me and inspired me. He used to say that the non-melanated people, my people, are the biblical beast of the field. And he used to also say that those of the spirit don't sin. And, those two things, they worked in tandem with me, right? Because first of all, I'm like, oh, wow, okay, I'm the beast of the field, possibly. And, that would explain why I led a sinful life. I didn't have a spirit. And let me say that I didn't want to lead a sinful life. I wanted to follow the commandments of the Most High. And I wanted to find out if the things he was saying were true. So I began studying. And I studied the Bible in those 2 years like I never studied before. I found in my mother's house an old, honestly, Duo Reims Bible, which I know is a Catholic Bible. And, in the beginning of my studies, I couldn't understand it very well. So I also used a new written translation or whatever it is, a newer Bible, and I read them both. And every time I would read a chapter, I would read it 2 times, once in the Douay Rhymes, once in the NSV, to get understanding. And so I made my way through the entire Old Testament like that, twice, at least. And, I learned a lot, and I learned to have a love of the Word. And, but over time, I started watching Lex Will. I was turned on to Lex Will. And Lex Will screaming, angry ass, he kept me for real studying, you know what I mean? And, we kind of got on good terms for a little while then, and I got lazy, man. And I'll tell the truth, man. I've been studying again, and I want to share with everybody what I was studying today. It made me see while I'm a sinful person, and while I'm a member of a sinful bloodline, I always had there's always a voice in me that wanted to do better. I didn't want to be that way. I don't want to be that way, but what I realize is that I'm very susceptible, most likely because of my bloodline, to fall back into that. And yeah, I really don't want to. I really don't want to. I really pray to find some place amongst the children, amongst God's people. And so anyway, gonna go into eSword right here. Joshua 9, 10, 11, something I've been studying for the last few months, man. Joshua is like slewing, chopping, destroying, man. He's destroying all the heathen nations, right? He's destroying all the heathen nations. He went on a tear, for real. And he did his work. He did what he was commanded by the Most High to do. But the interesting thing about these 3 chapters is that the Most High also chose a nation out of those nations that were to be destroyed, and he chose them to be kept. He chose them to live. He chose them to live. And here it is, Joshua 11:19. There was not a city that made peace with the children of Israel, save the Hivites, the inhabitants of Gibeon. All other they took in battle. For it was of the Ishi to harden their hearts. These are the other Amorite tribes, that they should come against Israel in battle, that they might destroy them, that he might destroy them utterly, and that they might have no favor. And that they might have no favor, but that he might destroy them, as the Ishi commanded Moses. And this isn't to go against the Most High's teaching, but I think what the Most High is saying here is that, if you link up with Israel any way you can, because these people had to lie to him. If you go through the chapters, they lived right next to, they lived in Gibeon, which is the imperial city of the Amorites, and they lived one of the strongest of the 5 cities of the Amorites, and they lived right next to Israel, and they got some old skins and old clothes, and they pretended like they came from really far away, and they lied to the Israelites. But if you look through the chapters, you'll see that they did this to live. They did this to survive. And that's I don't know, they got the Israelites to give their word that they would live, and the issue had to actually what it says here is that, and from all the, but that they might have no favor, right? And that means that the Gibeonites did have favor. Other translations, like my Bible right here, says in Joshua, let me see, 11, and it says, there was not a city that delivered itself to the children of Israel except the Hivite, who dwelt in Gabaon, for he took all by fight. For it was the sentence of the Ishi that their hearts should be hardened, and that they should fight against Israel and fall, and should not deserve any clemency. Okay? So the Ishi judged the Gibeonites, the Hivites, and judged them to be worthy of clemency. Heya. And this is in other places too, okay? So I just wanted to show you that real quick. The story is great. Joshua 9, 10, 11, great story. This happens to be when the Israelites and Joshua are destroying all the Amorite tribes, and when they prayed for the sun to stand still so that they could destroy them more all that day. And yes, absolutely, there's plenty of these wicked nations that are worthy of destruction. But according to the words of the Ishi, not all. Okay? So here we go. This is what I was studying today. I'm going to go to 2 Kings, and we're going to go to 14. And, I just was reading through, there's a lot of good things in that book. I actually been reading through the books of Samuel and the Kings for the last month probably or so. I really enjoy those books. But here in the second book of Kings, it gets down to verse 5 or 6. And like I said, I was just reading through. And but the children of the murderers he slew not, according unto that which was written in the book of the law of Moses, wherein the Ishi commanded, saying, the father shall not be put to death for the children, nor the children be put to death for their fathers, but every man shall be put to death for his own sin. And that linked up back again to Deuteronomy 24. Back to the law. Okay. And 24 and what? Let me see. 16. And again, there it is. The fathers will not be put to death for the children, neither shall the children be put to death for the father. But then, then it's linking up to Ezekiel 18, right? 18, okay. We're going to read this whole chapter because this is a great chapter. Okay? And I'm going to make it big for everybody. Let's see, how do we get it in the list view? Here we go. Okay. The word of the Ishi came unto me, saying, what mean ye that ye use this proverb concerning the land of Israel, saying, the fathers have eaten sour grapes, and the children's teeth are set on edge? As I live, saith the Ishi, Aloha, ye shall not have occasion any more to use this proverb in Israel. Behold, all souls are mine. As the soul of the Father, so also the soul of the Son is mine. And the soul that sinneth, it shall die. But if a man be just, and do that which is lawful and right, and hath not eaten upon the mountains, neither hath lifted up his eyes unto the idols of the house of Israel, neither hath defiled his neighbor's wife, neither hath come near to a menstruous woman. And just a real quick interjection. I wish I had done this before I started reading, because I don't want to interrupt the flow of the word. But reading through the book of Kings, you see how many of the Israelites themselves were wicked. And of course, we know that there are many, many wicked Israelites. And so, Ezekiel 18:7, and hath not oppressed any, but hath restored to the debtor his pledge. Okay? We're still talking about the man. And have restored to the debtor his pledge, hath spoiled none by violence, and hath given his bread to the hungry, and hath covered the naked with a garment. He that hath not given forth upon usury, neither hath taken any increase, that hath withdrawn his hand from iniquity, and hath executed true judgment between man and man, hath walked in my statutes, and hath kept my judgments, to deal truly. He is just. He shall surely live, saith the Ishi. Aloha. If he beget a son that is a robber, and a shedder of blood, and that doeth the like to any one of these things, and that doeth none of those duties, but even hath eaten upon the mountains, and defiled his neighbor's wife, hath oppressed the poor and needy, and hath spoiled by violence, have not restored the pledge, and have lifted up his eyes to the idols, have committed abomination, have given forth upon usury, and have taken increase. Shall he then live? He shall not live. He hath done all these abominations. He shall surely die. His blood shall be upon him. Now, lo, if he beget a son that seeth all his father's sins which he hath done, and considereth and doeth not such like, that hath not eaten upon the mountains, neither hath lifted up his eyes to the idols of the house of Israel, hath not defiled his neighbor's wife, neither hath oppressed any, hath not withholden the pledge, neither hath spoiled by violence, but hath given his bread to the hungry, and hath covered the naked with a garment, that hath taken off his hand from the poor, that have not received usury nor increase, hath executed my judgments, hath walked in my statutes, he shall not die for the iniquity of his father, he shall surely live. As for his father, because he cruelly oppressed, spoiled his brother by violence, and did that which is not good among his people, lo, even he shall die in his iniquity. Yet say ye, why? Doth not the son bear the iniquity of the father? When the son hath done that which is lawful and right, and hath kept all my statutes, and hath done them, he shall surely live. The soul that sinneth, it shall die. The son shall not bear the iniquity of the father, neither shall the father bear the iniquity of the son. The righteous of the The righteousness of the righteous shall be upon him, and the wickedness of the wicked shall be upon him. But if the wicked will turn from all his sins, see that he hath committed, and keep all my statutes, and do that which is lawful and right, he shall surely live, he shall not die. All his transgressions that he hath committed, they shall not be mentioned unto him. In his righteousness that he hath done, he shall live. Have I any pleasure at all that the wicked should die, saith the Ishi Eloha, and not that he should return from his ways and live? But when the righteous turneth away from his righteousness, and committeth iniquity, and doeth according to all the abominations that the wicked man doeth, shall he live? All his righteousness that he hath done shall not be mentioned. In his trespass that he hath trespassed, and in his sin that he hath sinned, in them he shall die. Now, if you're like me, this is all screaming out a verse to you, and it's one of my favorite verses of the word, and we're going to go to that next. Yet ye say the way of the Ishi is not equal. Hear now, O house of Israel, how is my way equal? No. Hear now, O house of Israel, is not my way equal? Are not your ways unequal? When a righteous man turneth away from his righteousness, and committeth iniquity, and dieth in them, for his iniquity that he hath done, he shall die. Again, when the wicked man turneth away from his wickedness that he hath committed, and doeth that which is rightful and right, he shall save his soul alive. Because he considereth and turneth away from all transgressions that he hath committed, he shall surely live, he shall not die. Yet saith the house of Israel, the way of the Ishi is not equal. O house of Israel, are not my ways equal? Are not your ways unequal? Therefore I will judge you, O house of Israel, everyone according to his ways, saith the Ishi Eloha. Repent and turn yourselves from all your transgressions, so iniquity shall not be your ruin. Cast away from you all the transgressions, whereby ye have transgressed, and make you a new heart and a new spirit. For why will ye die, O house of Israel? For I have no pleasure in the death of him that dieth, says the Ishi Eloha. Wherefore turn yourselves and live ye. Okay? All this talk about the ways of the Ishi being right leads me to my favorite, one of my favorite verses. Where is it? It is Hosea 14:9. Who is wise, and he shall understand these things, prudent, and he shall know them. For the ways of the Ishi are right, and the just shall walk in them and live, is what another translation says. Sorry, I know that it's not there. But the transgressors shall fall therein. So we walk in the ways of the Ishi and we live. And, it made me think of Hosea 2. And I just found something real interesting. I went through it, and this is where the Most High says in the last days that he'll be called Ishi. And, that's something that Lex Will teaches and pointed out. And but what's interesting, if you read this whole chapter, okay, so I read through it and I just found the last verse there, 23, and I the whole chapter is about the woman, the Israelite woman that went away from the Most High, and he called her back to him, what it says is right there, Hosea 23. 2 and 23, and I will sow her unto me in the earth, and it's talking about Israel. And I believe this whole verse is talking about Israel, even though, I know the New Testament tries to say the priesthood has been replaced and all the, all that abomination, okay? And I still believe that this verse is talking about Israel, and I'm going to show you the reason that I'm bringing this up. And so it says, and I will sow her unto me in the earth, and I will have mercy upon her that had not obtained mercy. And I will say to them which were not my people, thou art my people, and they shall say, thou art my God. Now, this, he does say right here, and I will say to them that were not my people, thou art my people. But I believe that if you read the entire chapter there, he's talking about Israel the whole time. And so he's just talking about Israel when they were not his people, and that they returned again to be his people. And it made me think of 2nd Ezra and 3. 2nd Ezra and 3 in other translations that I've read, like my NSV translation, it's 2nd Ezra 3:36, and it says, you may indeed find individuals who have kept your commandments, but nations you will not find. And the funny thing about that is that when we look up in the KJV, it doesn't say that. And it's just interesting. You know, if I'm presenting a case, to the Most High about where His Word says that an adherent to His law can be accepted, you know, I can't only pick out the verses that seem to agree with that. I have to also show the flip side, you know. I have to show the flip side, okay? And so we see here, we start verse 1, the second book of the prophet Ezra, the son of Sarias, the son of Azarias, the son of Helchias, the son of Sadamias, the son of Sadok, the son of Achitab, the son of Achias, the son of Phinehas, the son of Heli, the son of Amarias, the son of Aziel, the son of Meremoth, the son of Arna, the son of Ozias, the son of Berith, the son of Abisail, the son of Phinehas, the son of Eleazar. Okay, the son of Aaron, the tribe of Liu, which was Keptu in the land of the Medes in the reign of Artaxerxes, king of the Persians. And the word of the Ishi came unto me, saying, go thy way and show my people their sinful deeds, and their children their wickedness which they have done against me, and that they may tell their children's children. Because the sins of their fathers are increased in them, for they have forgotten me, and have offered unto strange gods. You know what? This is not what I was looking for. Oh, that's chapter 1, of course. 2nd Ezra. Okay. We were looking for chapter 3. Chapter 2, chapter 3. Okay, my mistake. Sorry about that. In the 13th year after the ruins of the city, I was in Babylon, and lay troubled upon my bed, and my thoughts came up over my heart. For I saw the desolation of Zion, and the wealth of them that dwell at Babylon. And my spirit was sore moved, so that I began to speak words full of fear to the Most High, and said, O Ishi, who beareth rule, that speakest at the beginning, when thou didst plant the earth, and that thyself alone, and commandest the people, and gavest the body unto Adam without a soul, that was the workmanship of thine hands, and didst breathe into him the breath of life, and he was made living before thee. And thou leadest him into paradise, which thy right hand had planted before ever the earth came forward. And yet unto him gavest commandment to love thy way, which he transgressed. And immediately thou appointest death in him, and in his generations, of whom came nations, tribes, people, and kindreds out of number. And every people walked after their own will, and did wonderful things before thee, and despised thy commandments. And again in process of time thou broughtest a flood upon those that dwelt in the world, and destroyed them. And it came to pass in every of them that as death was to Adam, so was the flood to these. Nevertheless, one of them thou leftest, namely Noah, with his household, of whom came all righteous men. And it happened that when they that dwell upon the earth began to multiply, and had gotten them many children, and were a great people, they began again to be more ungodly than the first. Now when they lived so wickedly before thee, thou didst choose thee a man from among them, whose name was Abraham. Him thou lovest, and unto him only thou showest thy will, and madest an everlasting covenant with him, promising him that thou wouldest never forsake his seed. And unto him thou gavest Isaac, and unto Isaac thou gavest Jacob and Esau. As for Jacob thou didst choose him to thee, and put by Esau. And so Jacob became a great multitude. And it came to pass that when thou leadest his seed out of Egypt, thou broughtest them up to the mount of Sinai. And bowing the heavens, thou didst set fast the earth, movest the whole world, and madest the depth to tremble, and troublest the men of that age. And thy glory went through four gates of fire, and of earthquake, and of wind, and of cold, that thou mightest give that thou mightest give the law unto the seed of Jacob, and diligence unto the generation of Israel. And I'm just showing you this to show I was incorrect. My translation that I had read originally, like I told you, said at the end, you may indeed find individuals who have kept their commandments, but nations you will not find. In other words, no other nation than Israel, of course, is given the chance at redemption, or the law. No other nation other than Israel was given the law, but that there were individuals you could find that would keep his law. But I could bring up Bible Gateway and see what all the translations say. But I just have to be fair and stick to the King James and go with what it says. And so I don't know. I guess the case is still out, but I feel like I did show you a lot of evidence today to show that as says in Exodus 20, he loves those that love him and keep his commandments. And so where were we? This was, for the first Adam, bearing a wicked heart, transgressed and was overcome, and so be all that they are born of him. Thus infirmity was made permanent, and the law also in the heart of the people with the malignity of the root, so that the good departed away and the evil abode still. And Second Ezra is a complicated and confusing book, so because obviously he's saying there's quite a bit of evil and wickedness in Israel as well. So the times passed away, and the years were brought to an end. Then didst thou raise up a servant called David, whom thou commanded to build a city unto thy name, and to offer increase and oblations unto thee therein. When this was done many years, then they that inhabited the city forsook thee, and in all things did even as Adam and all his generations had done, for they also had a wicked heart. And so thou gavest the city over to the hands of thine enemies. Yeah, that's a damning verse right there. But you know what? Like I said, like I started out this video saying, when my back's against the wall, it pushes me to study more. And so, this is what led me to this part anyway, is that I to this truth anyway, is that I've never felt comfortable amongst the nations. I never went along with their ways, I was taught at a young age not to, my mother taught me at a young age, she said, people make fun of you, don't answer them back, they'll get tired of it, And I won't recommend that was not easy, and I won't teach that to my Johannan, but what it taught me was to not take part in their ways, man. I never been one to make fun of people and just all that different wicked shit that my nation does. You know, I kind of have found myself on the outskirts of this nation, where truthfully I still, I still have the privileges of my late nation, but anyhow. And so thou gavest the city over to the hands of thine enemies. So does that mean that everyone other than Israel is an enemy of the Ishi? I don't know. And their deeds then are their deeds then any better than the inhabitants of Babylon, that they should therefore have the dominion over Zion? Obviously not. For when I came thither and had seen impieties without number, then my soul saw many evil doers in the 30th year, so that my heart failed me. For I have seen how thou sufferest them sinning, and hast spared the wicked doers, and hath destroyed thy people, and hath preserved thine enemies, and hast not signified it. I do not remember how this way may be left. Are they then of Babylon better than they of Zion? Or is there any other people that knoweth thee besides Israel? Or what generation hath so believed thy covenants as Jacob? And yet their reward appeareth not. And obviously the answer to that is implied, and the implied answer is no. And yet their reward, Jacob's reward, and their labor hath no fruits. For I have gone here and there throughout the heathen, and I see that they flow in wealth, and think not upon thy commandments. And honestly, without Israel, that's what I am too. I think that's why the Most High chose Israel to teach the nations. Because without Israel, I'm that. I flow in wealth. Yeah, that's me. And I see that they flow in wealth and think not upon thy commandments. Okay? Where thou therefore our wickedness now in the balance. Weigh thou therefore our wickedness in the balance, and theirs also that dwell in the worlds. And so shall thy name nowhere be found but in Israel. Name means honor. And when was it that they which dwell upon the earth have not sinned in thy sight? Or what people hath so kept thy commandments? Thou shalt find that Israel by name have kept thy precepts, but not the heathen. Okay? So that's a little different than the verse in my NSV edition. Anyhow, I'm glad to be studying today. I'm glad to be studying today because it makes me thank the Most High. It makes me sing praises to his name. Shalom.